Every time we cut the prices, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Spin Ultimate. Custom team uniforms and branded apparel since 2007. Fresh designs to make your ultimate spirit shine. And welcome to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2016 Northwest Challenge. Coming to you here from Seattle, Washington. I'm Keith Rayner, joined by Katie Reynolds here for the showcase game on Friday evening between Oregon Fugue and Washington Element. Two classic rivals here, Katie. This is a traditional game of the challenge. What are you expecting out of this one?
You know, I'm actually expecting Oregon to run away with this one again. These teams have met before this season, and Oregon won handily 15-4. So while I think the score is going to be a little bit closer today, I'm still saying that Oregon's going to take it away with pretty big margin.
And so far today, each team has played in one game, as we see Oregon in the dark green pulling to Washington in the whites. And the home team is going to start the disc off with Grace Noah. She goes up to freshman Sophie Johansson. And her inside throw is intercepted by Ella Hansen, one of the runner-up freshmen of the year last year for Fugue. They're going the other way.
Ella Hansen really has come into her own on this team. I know she was kind of a promising upstart for Oregon last year, and she's really become one of their go-to reset handlers.
And Beth Kaler, one of the stars of this Oregon team, resetting the disc into the middle to Caitlin Brunick. And a stoppage of field. Oregon in a vertical stack. About 10 yards outside of the end zone, looking to break to start the game. Kaler with Sarah Edwards in coverage. Into the end zone. Hansen looking for bookends. And she gets it in front of Nora Landry, and Oregon opens with a break after a quick turn from Washington. Makes it 1-0 Fugue.
Yeah, and you know, that's a hard cut to defend coming right out of that vert stack. And Nora Landry's a quick defender for Oregon, but when you're racing towards that cone, that's hard to beat.
And we'll take another look at the game's first break. And we'll see Hansen sneak away from Landry to get to the near side of the end zone and start things off for Oregon. And Hansen, one of the returning players on an Oregon team that returned so much of the core of last season's team.
Yeah, Oregon loves their fifth-year players. You know, you've got Beth Kaler coming back for another year. I think last year we may have thought that it was her final hurrah with a championship, but she's back for another year and has been really dominant as a veteran player on this team, with a veteran squad.
Washington, meanwhile, a very different story for them, a team that is trying to put some new players into bigger roles. Who are some of the players to watch on this Washington team, Katie?
So you mentioned her before, but I think Grace Noah has really come into her own after a season with Mixtape as a handler. I love Nora Landry back there. Not only she's a great handler for Washington, but a great handler defender that we should be able to see some great defense from her in this game.
Camille Cantor now with the disc in the middle of the field, working with Johansson. Now looking to push the pace, Washington. This is something you can expect to see a lot from Element. They really like to play a quick movement, active game, and move the ball quickly, as they like to say here in the Northwest, but a little too quick, and that one's going to be behind for a turnover, and now Fugue's trying to go the other way. Here's Kaler, break side, backhand huck, hanging for her receiver, but not going to be lofted enough there from Morgan Caldwell, one of the few rookies on this Oregon Fugue team. Cantor. All up the line here from Washington. Essentially all of the cuts they've had. There's a Contested throw up ahead to Claire Amorosi.
You can tell she's looking for that reset and really being challenged to get that off. So they're going to keep going up this force side.
Here's Landry. Washington really playing in about a 10-yard box and eventually too predictable. Brunick gets in to knock that one away and being targeted right away by Hansen. Brunick trying to tail onto this one, and it's going to trail out of bounds.
I like that look, but a hard wind to throw it in. There's a slight breeze, and that's going to pull that away. And see, Washington's coming up yet again on this sideline. Let's see if they can pull off of this and really open up the field for themselves.
Washington still pinned to this near sideline, have yet to get it off, and there, Johansson with another turn. These are hard throws in small windows. Oregon showing they can make some of those of their own. A little blade and then a nice offhand backhand from Kaler. Another break for Oregon, and they take a 2-0 lead, and it looks like there's a timeout for Washington. Wants to regroup after getting out to a poor start here.
It's impressive that they've got Johansson already in one of these early points. She is actually a freshman for Element, but she's got classic Seattle youth background, having played with the Fries as well as on the YCC team here. So it's impressive they've got her starting out early, but it's not surprising considering the handlers that they lost from last year. I'm sure they're looking to have another Emma Kale pull together and really become a playmaker for them in the backfield.
We'll take another look at the play here, the scoring play. Kaler into the end zone for Hansen. Hansen's second goal already and Kaler's second assist. And they're off to the races here. And this Oregon team has been pretty impressive. The standard that Fugue has set is so high that even a team like this can seem a little disappointing. This is a team that hasn't lost more than once in the regular season since 2012. And now they have 4 losses coming into this game. They're 1-0 today in the tournament, having dominated Carleton in their only game earlier today.
It's hard to even talk about legs or tiredness on a day like today when both teams have just one game behind them. And while Washington had a more challenging game, actually losing to Whitman, Oregon essentially just rolled through their game and finished pretty quickly. So if you can even talk about legs at this point, Oregon's had a much easier day.
Yeah, Oregon's biggest challenge today probably took place last night. Oregon's team van was actually stolen last night. Their disc bag, the speakers in the van, all gone this morning. One of their players had to spend the day pretty much at the police station getting it all figured out. So uncontrollables taking their toll on Oregon. And
it's a new definition of uncontrollables.
Yeah, the second time I believe that their disc bag has been stolen this year. I don't know what's happening to them, but the 5th-ranked team in UltiWorld's power rankings this year, Washington Element at 7th. So really not that big a gap between these teams despite what we've seen on the field in the couple times that they've matched up. And really this Washington offense is looking for some answers here, having gotten off to a very slow start.
See if they can pick up the pace coming out of this timeout and regroup.
Jessie Schaffner with the pull for Oregon. Her first point here, certainly a player to watch at all times. And here's Noah in the middle. Noah up ahead. Merrickman,
Nice
and now
D
another
by
turn.
Schaffner.
Schaffner gets it away, and right away taken back by Grace Noah. Schaffner looking to push the pace to her style, and Oregon a little rush there. Not unusual for them to have those kinds of turnovers. Chan up to Landry. Landry with the forehand huck. It's hanging. Kramer gets underneath it, and Nicole Kramer gets the first hold for Washington, and they'll get to put their defense on.
They're on the
2-1
board.
Oregon leads.
And it's not the cleanest huck we've seen, and it looks like there might be just a slight breeze higher up that's pulling those flicks up, but that did the trick for Landry.
And taking another look at the quick series of turnovers here, Schaffner jumping the lane there for that one, and didn't get to show you the quick response from Grace Noah.
I think that's the kind of play that we've come to expect from Schaffner. I think people, after her stint on the All-Star Tour and her many Worlds appearances, I think people watch her on a high-level team and still expect to see the highlight plays from her, and they always expect it to be entertaining. And that was just a glimpse at what we might have ahead of us.
Yeah, it's certainly not out of the ordinary for Jessie Schaffner to make a mind-blowing play, and then, particularly on the defensive end, and then quickly give the disc back in a rushed offensive effort. You know that's what you're going to get with her, but you also know how often she's going to generate turns and how often she will also make an improbable play look easy. First look at Oregon's offensive unit here.
So you've got Maggie Kennedy on the line, who just transferred actually from a season with Wisconsin last year. She's her sophomore year. She's been battling injury throughout the summer, but I think she's just kind of getting back into shape. We'll see what she can do downfield.
Kennedy, despite her age, has a lot of strong experience as we see Schaffner shooting to the end zone for Olivia Bartroff with no one really nearby. Bartroff with a quick goal, and that is not the kind of defensive point you want if you're Washington after struggling through your first couple of offensive looks. 3-1, Oregon takes the lead. But going back to Maggie Kennedy, she has club experience with Chicago Nemesis, has played with the Team USA U23 team, despite being about 19, 20 years old. So Kennedy well-traveled. So we take another look at that quick score from Oregon. A lot of speed on the field when you're talking about Jessie Schaffner and Olivia Bartroff, and Bartroff is a goal-scoring machine.
It just looked like an excellently executed pull play right there, just textbook.
And that's what you can expect from Oregon's offense when they come out on the field. Jessie Schaffner in space and a continue cut that she's going to be able to hit. Challenging that has been troublesome for teams all year. I expect to see Washington use one of their many zones to try and contain some of those initiating plays. Washington, a very tricky and intelligent defensive team. And Washington, coached by Kyle Weisbrod, with assistance from Jillian Goodrow.
Yeah, and they're facing, the first season for Oregon in the post-Lou era.
Yeah, the coaching staff here, also including Lucy Williams on that Washington staff. There's some continuation for Oregon, who has Katie Weatherhead really stepping into the head coach role. Claire Sharman, who I don't believe is in attendance at this tournament. She travels from California for tournaments with the team. We'll see how those changes impact the team. I think that Oregon's defense has struggled in ways we haven't seen them before, potentially due to those coaching changes. Here we see that quick disc movement Washington likes to use. That's still a staple of their offense. A nice grab there by Sophia. Now she's looking for Cantor up the line. Cantor knocking on the doorstep. And taps it into the end zone for Johansson. She's got to be glad to get that one. Makes it 3-2 Oregon.
And so far, watching Washington, we haven't seen a lot of continuations to their downfield. It's been a lot of quick movement between their kind of main 3 or 4 handlers there, and then typically if they're looking downfield, it's been those away looks.
Yeah, and we've seen them go with some long throws. We've seen them challenge, and successfully, I might add, but I don't know, we'll see how their offense changes over the course of this game based on Oregon's defensive adjustments. A little bit of the chess match here. Two teams that are extremely familiar with each other. Northwest rivals, and played in this showcase game each of the 3 years of the Northwest Challenge's existence. This is our first stream game for the weekend with you, but we have plenty of coverage coming up over the next couple of days. We've got an incredible women's field here, Katie. Really a lot of the top teams, title contenders.
Yeah, even in every year for its 3 years of existence, Northwest Challenge has drawn the top teams and teams that are hoping to face the top teams and get that high-level elite experience. Even if they don't win all their games, kind of hopeful teams kind of lower in the rankings are hoping to play the Oregons and the Stanfords and get that experience so they're better prepared for the postseason.
And the Northwest looking very powerful this year. The top 3 teams in the rankings all hailing from the Northwest region. followed by Oregon and this Washington team not far behind. Western Washington in the mix there. Oh, and that one's going to slip out of Lillian Weaver's hand. An unusual mistake from the veteran. Noah taking the deep shot, looking for Kramer. Drops in for her, but they're going to say she's just outside the end zone. Offhand dish for Sarah Edwards.
That's
and
a break.
Washington gets their first break to get right back on this one, 3-3 between Washington and Oregon.
Washington's got to be excited about that after their last showing with Oregon, to get that break and be right in there with them.
And a great job by Washington to capitalize on the mistakes. That's something that they've done a bit of here. When they're getting the disc in great position with a chance to move, they're attacking, and I really like that. They have not shied away from taking aggressive shots. Kramer with her second big reception here. Edwards on the goal.
Edwards, who's been playing with Washington for a long time, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's battled injury in the past, but she's looking pretty good this season for Washington.
Edwards a part of the semifinals team, a major player in that squad, but really the last remaining of the top players from that team, and has really kind of you kind of expect her to be handed the keys here for Washington. But they've asked players like Nora Landry, Grace Noah, Camille Cantor to really step up and have not placed a huge demand yet on Edwards. We'll see how she comes through for this team. If they're really going to need her ability to match up on defense with these top Oregon players to try and slow them down. So we see the Washington pull bounce between the legs of Hansen, and she'll send her up to Brunick.
You can see Edwards fading deep, ready for that deep shot from Oregon that they know to expect, and she's ready back there.
They do a good job containing the initiating throws here with a junky look. Don't really have anyone near the disc. Now here's Hope Zima on the near sideline, goes up to Brunick. Brunick breaking around to Kaler in the middle of the field, and easy score again for Oregon. Kaler hits Schaffner to make it 4-3, Fugue leads.
I understand the motivation behind having that junk, of preventing that quick pull play, immediately looking deep, but you give Oregon that much space, especially with no wind, and they're just going to play with it.
And we'll take another look at this goal and how quickly Oregon strikes. Just so much speed on this team. You see Schaffner with a big, hard shoulder fake to the break side. The defender knows that Kaler has the space to throw the break throw, has to respect it, and easy open side score there. And I like the idea from Washington to mix up the look, but it really looked like they weren't quite on the same page.
I was just letting you know that, like, we
This year's Northwest Challenge, a little bit different format. We've actually seen Oregon, previously it's been a pre-scheduled 7 games, and we've been fortunate enough that the teams with the 2 best records have always played against each other. Oregon has been one of those 2 teams, but failed to win in either case, losing to UBC last year, and eventual national champion Ohio State in an excellent game a couple years ago. But this year's format will pit the top 3 teams in each pool. There are actual pools against each other on Sunday, with a chance, there's no bracket per se, but a chance to play against the teams that have performed the best this weekend. Washington looking to be one of those teams here and get their first win. Here's Johansson on the near sideline. Brunick, active mark, trying to take away a lot of throwing options, and again we see them squeeze it up the line. And the travel call there against Ellen Goldberg.
I think there was a question of whether she was in or out. They're that close to this forced sideline and really not able to swing it off this line. There's an attempt.
And a completed swing, but no continue option here. Oregon doing a great job keeping Washington on the near line, but Cantor with her second break, though, to get it away. And Washington goes to the far side and not going to be caught there.
Okay, it was Rachel Jecker and Hansen both bidding to get that disc.
Hansen trying to huck the other way, looking for Gabby Ofterheide, and that one's going to be out of bounds. Washington will get another chance here. And I really like what Camille Cantor is doing with the disc, working hard to get the disc off the line, not taking the easy option. And potentially this should be a place to take the easy option right near the end zone. And a little bladey backhand.
I think that's Ellen Goldberg with the score.
Goldberg, a first-year player with this Element team.
She's a grad student.
Big target, a Washington, a team that made a lot of noise last year with their grad student pickups, and Goldberg really the next in that lineage. It's a big downfield target, able to use her athleticism, and there we see her hitting pay dirt with a score from Cantor. 4-4 between these two teams. After Oregon got off to a hot start, they're still up a break. Washington looking to generate a couple more turnovers here. Have gotten some out of Oregon, but only a couple of Ds so far. Haven't generated a lot of defensive pressure.
No, most of their opportunities to break on defense have just been from drops from Oregon or unforced errors like that. Huck up the line.
And Oregon missing a couple of key players, perhaps most notably Alex Odie.
Yeah, and Haley Walrus out with her injury for this weekend.
Yeah, and
it's a big playmaker.
Walrus likely not to rejoin the team until regionals after suffering an injury earlier in this year. Also missing veteran Foley Galvin. Is out with, she's feeling a little sick today, so unable to participate in today's games, but Fugit's been able to play through injuries this year. This is not the first tournament they've played, missing some of their roster. We've seen players like Caitlin Brunick have to step up. Here she is hitting Bartruff, who goes to Kaler, quickly continued. And now that one's going to sail a little bit, but it's
incredible
tiny
grab from
Jetsi Schaffner who comes away with it. And she's going to toss up another one. Bartruff on the goal there. And not making it easy, but certainly effective still. Worth a point all the same. Oregon holds for 5-4.
Incredible grab from Schaffner.
Take another look at this one. That throw not coming out as intended, but Schaffner gets a great read on it, holds the best position and times the jump. And then the quick continue to Bartruff. She makes sure to haul that in. And that's another Oregon score where it seems like they're completing passes very rapidly. Now that one was a little dicey. I think if you're Washington, you got to feel like, hey, we got a good shot at it there. But
yeah, but if you play on Oregon long enough and you see Schaffner going out there, you got to think her teammates are maybe saying, yep, Schaffner's got that pile. I don't know if I would put that up or have him put that up all the time, but, you know, with Schaffner, you kind of expect those plays, even at her height.
Schaffner, a fifth-year returner here for Oregon. Really has been a huge part of this program for a couple of years, and you know, at some point you start talking about the legacy that her class will leave behind. A couple of championships to their name. Schaffner, Kaler, Alex Odie, Olivia Bartruff, all part of that group that has brought home a couple titles to Eugene. Looking to do that again this year, even without Lou Burris. And now we see a three-person cup from Oregon, and Washington going to the sideline, and now Cantor and Johansson back to work.
Continuing to chisel through the cup and find an opening through.
And they're able to find a hole. Amorosi moving the disc to Noah and back to Johansson. Amorosi very involved here early on. Cantor, Johansson working together.
Oregon holding this cup all the way up to the end zone line. And
Washington still looking content to throw those very short throws, but finally get a little aggressive. Johansson tries to blade it over the top, and it's Hansen with the block. Another block for her, protecting the end zone, and now she and Brunick set to work for this Oregon offense. High release, backhand to Kaler. Kaler launching it for Ofterheide. Cantor and chase. Ofterheide pulls it in. Numbers advantage here for Oregon. Serafina Angstad-Lido on the line. Now she'll take it in the center of the field. Inside break, Kaler on the goal. That's going to be another one for Oregon. 6-4, Fugue leading Washington. Today's game's to 15 as we take another look at Ella Hansen's goal-saving block. Hansen has a great sense of the game. She, despite being so young, has been playing deep for Oregon now for 2 seasons and able to really understand where the offense is headed and able to get in the way. They really depend on her to make a lot of plays, and she's the next in the line, really, of what's been just a continuous factory of top-end players for Oregon.
Yeah, you really look at her and Walrus, and now with adding Kennedy to the mix, you see kind of this next generation of Oregon that's coming up, and their style of play may change and evolve as they get up to their senior year, but you can always count on Oregon being skilled, fast, and aggressive.
Walrus, of course, a former freshman of the year herself. Ella Hansen, a runner-up for the award. So a lot of young talent with this veteran core from Oregon. And Hansen on the pole. She and Brunick and Kaler playing a lot with some of the handlers for this team missing. And Odie and Walrus. Now Washington trying to get another hold. Sarah Edwards pushing the pace here.
It's great to have Edwards on this O-line, hoping to seal this fast so they can try to get their breaks.
Landry to the far sideline to Kramer. Kramer, great throw through the middle of the field to Chan, and now Noah. A couple yards outside the end zone to Landry, and she finds Chan for a Washington hold. The crowd likes it. Washington likes it. 6-5, Oregon still leads. Katie, I'd say that's the best offensive point we've seen from Washington so far, looking confident and collected.
A lot of that driven by that striking movement from Sarah Edward. You can see that the minute she throws it and goes and gets it again, it just brings up the entire team and brings up their pace and really forcing Oregon to run with them, which they can, but picking up that pace is going to have them find those openings.
And Oregon, a team I would describe as pretty aggressive with their upline cutting, but Washington really showing that they want to win in the backfield. They want to force you to try and stop the upline so that they can go to the break side. And sometimes even if you try and take the upline, they'll just go for it anyway. They will run right through you, and they're not afraid to play that game and keep the disc moving.
Absolutely, and particularly with a team that's been used to having such strong, skilled handlers and having their top players in the backfield, it makes sense that their offense has developed to rely on those quick give and goes from those guys.
Washington trailing here by a couple of breaks. I'm looking to get some of that back before the halftime.
Got Edwards again on the line. Hopefully she can match up on some of these Oregon players and really challenge them with their offense down.
Brunick now in the middle of the field with Kramer on the mark.
Got another side stack from Oregon here.
And another very poachy look here from Washington. No one even really near the disc.
So got Edwards in the back, waiting for that deep look.
And the unmarked player turns it over. Weaver trying to throw across field. It comes up short.
This is
Washington generating another turn.
This is Washington's chance to break and really come back close in this game. Get one of the breaks back.
looking for a reset. Finds Kramer. Kramer looking upfield, but Barchev gets a hand on it. Ho able to come down with a second effort grab. Washington knocking on the door for another break. Landry around, backhand break to Kramer for her second goal. And Washington gets their second break of the game to draw it even 6-6 with Oregon.
Washington is pumped up. They can get another break out of that defense that they put on Oregon. This becomes a real game.
And nicely done there to attack after the turn. So we take another look at this score. Ho able to come down with a second effort grab. Finds Landry on the break side, and she fights for that around backhand of Kramer. Landry really a key player for this Washington team, and Kramer obviously has taken a much bigger offensive role with some of the attrition they've had, losing players like Lauren Sadler and Tess Young last year.
Nora has been playing on Seattle Grind, another women's team out here, been actually gaining experience with a lot of the Whitman players as well, and had actually a practice, was a practice player for Nemesis for a season.
As well as a U23 representative for Team USA. Landry known for her defensive intensity.
She's got those ankle-breaking cuts.
And here's the pull from Cantor. It'll be interesting to see how this Oregon offense continues to run with the same offensive grouping. The Hansen, Kaler, and Brunick really playing almost every point so far. And nicely done by Washington to deny the initiating looks here from Oregon. And now here's Brunick blading it to Angstad-Lido.
Kaler looking to go deep.
Now here's Brunick unmarked. Defender closes in, and she'll go cross field to Kaler. Kaler inside to Angstad-Lido, and unchallenged backhand there to Hansen for another goal. And Ella Hansen has been very involved for this Oregon team and helps them get to 7-6 lead, just a point short of taking half on Washington.
Hansen's really shown an unsurprising confidence in this game. Just a really good sense of the field and high ultimate IQ. Just always seems to be in the right place at the right time for this Oregon team.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting year for Oregon. We talked a little about this at the top of the broadcast, but, obviously they've had a strong season. Obviously they're still one of the best teams, but coming off a championship year and returning nearly everyone, there was some expectation that they may just dominate this season. You bring back a core of Lily Weaver, Jessie Schaffner, Beth Kaler, Alex Odie, Haley Walrus, Ella Hansen. You bring back all of those players, you kind of expect this team to come out and crush. And we haven't really seen that this season. We've seen them dig some holes. We've seen them have to win some really close, gritty games. What do you think might be behind the struggles, relatively, of this Oregon team to start the season?
Well, I think part of it is that we're saying we expect to see the same Oregon, and it's possible we're seeing the same Oregon, but other teams have continued to build their program and are better programs. If other teams like Whitman are building and developing and getting new players and getting stronger, them playing against the same Oregon, and everyone knows how Oregon plays, it may just be that the playing field has been a little bit evened out.
And Washington looking to get even on the scoreboard. Landry trying to get this offense moving. Here's Johansson. Trying to get it over to poached offender, but forced to squeeze it to Cantor, and right away up the line. Johansson now looking for an option. Gets the around to Cantor. Cantor to Edwards. Edwards towards Landry in the end zone. Just outside. Landry squeezing it in there to Cantor for a goal. Makes it 7-7, and this next point will decide who takes the half.
Washington is not letting Oregon get away with this easily. They're going to make them fight for this half. And I love in that last point watching Edwards and Kaler match up, and you can see Edwards almost trying to take Kaler out of the play when Edwards wasn't trying to make a cut.
And taking another look here on the replay. Take a look at this small window throw. Cantor recognizing the advantage. Gets up the line there for the goal.
Washington seeming very comfortable in the crowd. You know, they were often on this forced sideline, and they've got a lot of people around, and they're still not afraid to throw those tight shots, and they're coming away with a lot of them.
And their spacing is interesting because it's been so cluttered. And I don't know if that makes it harder for the defense to figure out what the best options are for the offense, or if that's, you know, something that they're trying to do is open up more space, and that's an adjustment they're looking to make but haven't quite implemented yet. You'd like to see a team that moves the disc so well be able to use that to open up the field, but so far it's been working for them to really play in this, you know, 15-yard box near the sideline.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like they're really pushing to try to get that swing off the line and aren't getting it. It just looks like they're comfortable going up that line.
Now here's Angstad Lido. Another zone look here from Washington. Looks like a 2-3-1-1 perhaps, and Oregon seems to have found their way through it, but that's going to be a missed throw there that's going to generate a turnover. Ganel Snocker with the turn, and Washington with a chance to get back their break and take the half. Huge layout feed from Jesse Schaffner, though.
Yes.
It's going to get the disc back in Oregon's hands, and Schaffner's off to the races. Cross field, Oli, forehand, drops in Olivia Bartroff, and that's how Oregon wants to take half.
Love it.
8-7. Jesse Schaffner showing the electrifying play she's known for, and Bartroff on the goal, per usual.
Really sending a message with that play. You know, we'd gotten into kind of a rhythm of hold, 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 and kind of a certain pace.
And let's take another look at Schaffner flying through to get this block. Really just outpacing the cutter to the disc and exploding through. And that's going to take us to halftime here. Oregon Fugue leading Washington 8-7 at the half.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our Green Line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Let's go, Lexa. Oh. Grab. I get it.
Welcome back to Ultiworld's live coverage of the 2016 Northwest Challenge. We are here to watch the showcase game on Friday between Oregon Fugue and Washington. Oregon taking an 8-7 halftime lead. Big time plays between these two rivals.
And already Washington has scored more points against Oregon than they did the last time they saw each other this season. They've got to be feeling pretty good coming into this half about how they're playing against Oregon's defense.
And Washington trailing by a break here. Looking to get back into this one. And they'll start it on defense. Looking to rely on some of their playmakers to come up for them. Got a good first half out of Camille Cantor and Nicole Kramer. Big first half for Oregon for Ella Hansen, and she's got the disc in her hands now. Oregon mixing up, Washington's defense mixing up the looks here. Just starting off in a couple of person points and struggling there, but found a lot more success with some of the junk looks and nearly generated a turn there, but Now Weaver up to Hansen. To Schaffner on the sideline.
So you've got Oregon. You've got an Oregon lurking back in the backfield. And you've got to know that Oregon knows that player's there.
And Washington still in the junk set. As they near the red zone here, and here's a crossfield throw from Schaffner to Weaver, and she's going to punch that one in to Angstad-Lido. No problem. That's a hold for Oregon. 9-7, Fugue leads.
And it seems like so far in this game, Element has been able to slow down Oregon's game and make them throw far more throws than Oregon probably wants to. But Oregon is still getting through this defense fairly easily, and most of their turns have still been unforced.
Taking another look at the score here. Oregon able to get from one sideline to the other with some nice swings here, and an easy throw from Weaver to Angstad-Lido on this near cone to make it 9-7. And Oregon started the game with a couple of breaks. Washington able to fight back and get a couple of those back, but still trailing number 4 ranked Fugue. Oregon 8-8 this season. Doesn't sound like a top 10 record if you don't understand strength of schedule, I guess. Oregon traditionally competing against some of the top teams in the Northwest, Washington doing the same. That's why you see a team like Washington, despite a 500 record, still claiming the number 7 spot in the rankings. And on the line this weekend, likely the number 1 seed at Nationals, probably the team that does the best at this tournament, is able to put themselves in power position for that if they should continue on to win Northwest Regionals. Couple of bids in the making. Some of the teams on the bubble for bids, Western Washington included, potentially getting one for the Northwest between these two teams. Johansson, inside break. Continue throw there.
Great save.
Nicely caught there by Katie Meyer. Now she's got her team on the goal line. Johansson, the freshman, matched up with Hansen. Inside break is going to be a little too low for Sarah Edwards. Difficult throw there in the red zone, but
There's a call.
Looks like a foul may bring this one back. An uncontested foul there. It's going to preserve possession for Washington.
Still looking for Edwards. Looking for a reset now.
Cantor able to get away from a bidding Schaffner, and an easy continue into the end zone for Allie Jader. 9-8, Oregon still leads.
Great hold for Washington, but you know they've got to be excited to get this D-line out here and put some more defensive looks against Oregon's offense. Trying to generate another turn.
And rolling back here, we'll take another look at the score. Johansson just gets that past the bidding Schaffner and continues into the end zone for Jader for the goal. Cantor continuing to be a very consistent presence in the backfield for Washington. It's been one of their better break throwers during the course of this game and helped them switch fields. And there we see another break throw for her for the goal. Beautiful weather here in Seattle. Certainly not the cloudy, rainy mess that you might consider here. And if you have the opportunity, I suggest you knock on wood. We've got 2 more days of video coverage to bring you, and hope to do that in more sunshine and clear skies.
Yeah, we'll be moving up to Burlington, Washington.
Good old Burling, Washington. Katie, a Washington native, folks.
Spent so many years up there, I've forgotten the name of the town entirely.
And we'll see Oregon coming out on offense. Traditional side stack look, but another junk set from Washington's going to force them out of the isolation sets that they prefer to start points with. Brunick. Up the field to Angstad Lido.
Brunick still in the middle with the disc here. Looks like the fewer options upfield than they have in points before.
Yeah, this Washington junk started off a little sloppy, struggling to really find some containment and get marks on and slow down this Oregon offense. But really, they've settled into a much better rhythm and are finding the holes a little. The Washington defense, is finding the holes and clogging them up a little bit more than they were in their early efforts here. Still in it as they near the end zone. We haven't seen anybody transition a person really near the goal line yet.
You can see Schaffner just wants to pick up the pace of this game and get faster give and goes here.
Schaffner just pining for that fast-paced game that she loves, but content here to move the disc horizontally. Oregon not taking anything too aggressive here, and there's a nice throw up the middle to Maggie Kennedy for an Oregon hold. That'll make it 10-8. Oregon leads Washington. And really got a great slate of games coming up over the course of the next 2 days. We'll be featuring number 1 ranked Whitman against Oregon tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time. We also have UBC and Pitt to follow that at 3:30, and Oregon versus British Columbia men's, first year of the men's division here at Northwest Challenge. That one will be at 5:30 Eastern Time, with another game to follow at 7:30. That'll be to be determined as the pools reseed. More action to follow Sunday, including another rivalry between these two teams, but it'll be the men's teams taking each other on. Oregon and Washington, the two top teams in the Northwest region, will battle it out at 11:30 on Sunday. So we've got a good slate of games for you coming up. We'll see how this one finishes up. Still got a good one in front of us right now. Katie, what do you think that Washington's going to need to do to recover the couple of breaks that they're trailing?
You know, I think that the defense that they're throwing against Oregon right now is working, but Oregon is still moving the disc through here. I think having slightly tighter defense there in the top of the junk just to cut those resets and really you can see Chan in that zone hungry to eat one of those swing passes, and if they can just get 1 or 2 of those and really force that turn, they'll have a chance to convert. Johansson, Cantor, and Landry moving the disc up pretty quickly.
And now a deep shot from Cantor. She's looking for Ellen Goldberg, trying to chase it down, and she gets there.
And scores a goal.
Goldberg on the goal.
You could just see Cantor burning her girl there. She knew she had power position, and there was no way she wasn't putting that disc up for Goldberg.
And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Washington is now 3 for 3 on long throws during the course of this game. Not something they've gone to the well on often. As we take another look at this Cantor bomb up ahead to the streaking Goldberg. The crowd cheering her on. Great separation to finish that play. And this hometown crowd showing some love to this Washington team. And perhaps this is Washington's chance to seize some of the momentum here.
Yeah, they're down 2 breaks. So they'll need to really pick up on defense and figure out what's going to generate those turns with Oregon.
This Washington team was the first team to defeat Central Florida this year, after they got off to, I believe, a 15-0 start to the season. Washington defeating them at the Stanford Invite 7-6. So we know that this Washington team knows how to grind.
And they know how to make those crucial defensive adjustments, which has always been the key to beating UCF, is really playing smart and figuring out specifically how to beat teams.
And this is a smart Washington defense looking to take advantage of their game IQ here to fluster Oregon.
Another grad student on the mark there, Dusenberry.
And Kaler, the 5th year, looking to move the disc quickly. Angstad Lido now, resetting to Weaver. Weaver across to Hope Zima. Gets it right back. And this Oregon offense really comfortable switching positions. We've seen Kaler go from the backfield to upfield. Schaffner coming into the backfield.
That's the one.
A big bid there from Washington. Not able to get that one. And Oregon continuing to move slowly but surely up the field.
But that's exactly the adjustment that I think Washington needs in order to get these turns, and you can tell Chan has been looking for it.
Maria Carla Merrickman trying to get that block, but now Fugue just steps away, and a nice seeing eye break throw there from Schaffner gets Oregon another hold and an 11-9 advantage over Washington.
Hitting Weaver in space there.
Now the defender just looking at the disc and not the cutter. Schaffner recognizes that and makes a nice fake as we take another look at this one and just puts it out to space. Jessie Schaffner, probably the biggest name on this Oregon team, really having really grown as a player in front of our eyes. I can still remember, this is a player who's always been really electric on the field, always had big throws, a lot of power, and able to use her speed and explosiveness to make big plays as a receiver, but has just matured so much in not only how she sees the field, but how she understands the costs and benefits of certain throws and how she uses that talent within this Oregon system. And at this point is got to be considered one of the best and most dangerous players in the country.
I would totally agree, Keith, that she's really matured into a leader on this team. I remember watching her at the 2012 Junior Worlds, and she was just a fiery defender, but also very fiery on the field and getting really emotional. And while she definitely still has some of that sass, I think that she's really mellowed out into being a much smarter, calmer leader for Oregon. Still physical and still fast, but a much more nuanced player.
Very difficult matchup, but has been forced to go away from really her speed and use her skill against these Washington zones. And Ella Hansen gets another run-through block there for Oregon, and Schaffner picks up quickly, pinballing her way down the field for a goal. Hansen up the line as Schaffner and Oregon break to push the lead out to 3, 12-9. Oregon leads Washington.
Watch this score again, but Keith, is that break the difference maker in this game?
It certainly puts the pressure on Washington as we see again Hansen with another attacking D, getting in front of the receiver with a late explosion, and then Schaffner just off to the races. And great job just milking that throw to space to make sure she got a score out of it. Another big play from Jessie Schaffner with the help of Ella Hansen. Those two have really been the difference makers for Oregon throughout this game.
Really is impressive for so many teams. You don't have Walrus and Odie, big names in their own right for Oregon, and to have Oregon playing so dominantly, and it doesn't look like they're missing big names on their roster. It looks like they've still got plenty of people to turn to, and people who aren't always making the big plays or don't get talked about are stepping up and making huge plays for them.
And the tournament playing out over 3 days, so the storylines will develop as we continue. But so far, probably the best game of the day we saw, Katie. The Western Washington-Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh able to come back from a big hole there, trailing 14-11, able to win that one 15-14 over another Northwest team as the pull is not fielded, and you see that inject some fire into this Oregon defense, sprinting down, and now here's Landry on the near sideline. Schaffner swarming over Cantor in the reset space, but Goldberg able to sneak open upfield. And a nice OI forehand up the line to Cantor. Landry finds space. She's going to throw the continue. A looping forehand. Not hauled in there. Jader, a difficult catch to try and finish that off. And now Oregon has a chance to get another break. Kaler, middle of the field, matched up with Edwards. That's a matchup you don't mind watching. Now Zima up the middle to Schaffner. Schaffner to Kaler. Kaler. OI backhand.
Little too much.
Too much on that one, but a good turnover if you're Oregon. Doing an excellent job keeping the disc in the middle of the field. Now Johansson trotting it up to the line. Johansson bringing back the visor style. A little bit of a retro look. Maybe you millennials don't remember that one, but I do. Been around a long time, folks. But Landry Stroh's going to overshoot Goldberg. Now Weaver looking to press Oregon's advantage.
You can see Washington trying to get back on the defense here.
And Goldberg does. Intercepts that one. Another poach block for Washington, who's managed to catch a lot of those and is tended to turn those into another goal. Nice give and go there from Cantor. Now looking for some space and gets the around backhand to Edwards. She continues to Jader. And Jader drops it off for Goldberg. Washington holds Goldberg with the bookends, and she lets everyone know about it. Washington trails 12-10.
That point felt like a break for Washington, even though that was just their hold. But certainly a hold that they needed if they want to stay in this game. Still got some game left, but 3 breaks is a lot to come back on.
We talked a little bit about the events of today so far. We also saw Stanford really just cruising past Pittsburgh. A very impressive performance from Stanford, who followed that up by dominating the University of Victoria 15-11 in an incredible defensive performance. But I think the biggest story of the day, unquestionably, is actually going to come from the men's division. BYU, number 19 in the rankings, going 4-0 in that USA algorithm. That's going to put them in a prime position to win a bid for the Northwest region. I believe that would make them give them 4 bids going into the end of the season, maybe even 5, and that is an unexpected development at best. And really, the big story, BYU does not compete on Sundays, traditionally has not been allowed to compete in the series. Lots of questions to come about, will USAU be able to accommodate them? Should they win a bid? Will they be able to compete in the series? Will they just be giving that bid to the Northwest for another team to claim? These are discussions that have begun bubbling up even last year as BYU's become a more competitive program. But now, really, this question is staring everyone in the face, and I think it's going to be the thing people are talking about coming out of the men's division this weekend.
And it's great because there were questions going into the tournament. Everyone knows that BYU doesn't play on Sundays, so there were questions about whether or not other teams would play lighter against them in order to get that bid. But from what it sounds like, BYU just won out straight out, and teams were trying their best against them, and they just won fair and square.
Yeah, the Northwest
better team.
Northwest men's has really made a big statement this year, and we're watching 2 of the Northwest women's teams, already well-established powers, usually greedily gobbling up all the bids, and looking to do the same this season, looking at 4 or 5 themselves.
It's very likely that half the strength bids go to the West Coast for this year.
Yeah,
you see the Southwest region with, 4 bids?
Yeah, big year for the Southwest, a big year for the Northwest as well, as is to be expected. And both of these teams well within bid earning range. And it's unusual. I think there's very few teams in the country that can go so comfortably through the season expecting to win a bid and have a shot at nationals, as we see Brunick making it a little uncomfortable there with a near drop. This offense really slowed down, forced to take a chance over the top to Kennedy. She's going to haul that in. Now Oregon looking to move it a little bit quicker. Good job in recovery there by Washington to play containment a little bit, and now Oregon back to the slow pace. What a contrast, really, between Washington's offense and defense. That offense loves to push the pace, and then on defense, they just grind the game down to a halt.
Yeah, they're really putting their tall Dusenberry, on the mark there, and just forcing them to swing and swing. And Washington will stay on that mark all day.
Yeah, Catherine Dusenberry has been up front for this Washington defense, and she is long, takes up a lot of space.
Another grad student for Washington.
Cross-field throw, hanging. And Noah, able to get the block there on the far side. Oregon's offense getting too impatient with those backfield swings and decides to take their shot. Now Landry. Up ahead to Ho. Ho to Noah. Noah backhand. Looking for Nicole Kramer, trying to leg it out, but it's going to be a little too far.
Still a good position for Washington to be in, bringing Oregon back to this end zone line. They're going to have to work it up the field again through Washington's zone.
Yeah, in about 4 throws, they took back all 70 yards that Oregon had gained in about 25 throws.
We've all been there.
Now here's Brunick. Looking against a very conservative zone, really not focused on pressuring the throwers, but just taking away upfield options, letting this Oregon offense potentially pressure themselves.
And in turn, Oregon is really taking the conservative shots here, finding the easy throws in this, not putting up a lot of 50-50 balls.
Ooh, and that one just sneaking by Ho in the cup, and now an over-the-top throw, looking for Rachel Hershey. A beautiful high-release forehand of space from Molly Lanning for the goal, and that's an Oregon hold to make it 13-10. Nice touch there from Lanning to hit Hershey.
Hershey's been a solid role player on Oregon for a long time, a great player. This is the first we've really seen of her in this game at least, making plays.
Taking a look at Hershey's first goal of the game here. As we see Lanning, just a beautiful flat throw to space. Easily run on by Hershey.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
And now Oregon, knowing that they're a couple points away here from closing this one out, a nice advantage as they approach that 15 mark. But Washington really, both teams have only played one game today. They know that they only have a 3-game slate tomorrow. Really no reason to take your foot off the gas here. I mean, you might as well test it out.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've got, for what I would say is an important point here for Washington in this game. They've got Landry and Edwards taking a rest on this point. They're hoping that Cantor Cantor and Johansson can rail it in, and then hopefully put Landry and Edwards back out on D and hopefully get that break.
Cantor has really been probably the driving force of this Washington offense. She and Johansson have handled a lot of touches, and that throw is going to be mishandled by Rachel Jecker and going to set Oregon up almost exactly 10 yards outside the end zone. Short field opportunity. Brunick, high release backhand on the break side for Kaler, and that one stings if you're Washington. A 14-10 lead for Oregon, just a point away from the game.
That is one of the most brutal things that can happen to you in the game of Ultimate. And especially now, having that put Oregon up at 14-10, that has got to hurt. But when the pressure's on, you've got crowded stands behind you. Sometimes you just, you're thinking about the next throw and it backfires.
Take another look at this Brunick high release backhand. A lefty has used this throw pretty effectively today, and just so much space to work with when you've got touch like that.
I've got to imagine Washington was just reeling after that drop. I don't know if they were ready to play defense quite then, particularly not on a tricky break like that.
An Element putting out the same 7 here. This is always an interesting spot, I think, to see how coaches react and players react. You get a player that drops the pull. you really have three options, right? You can take them off the field, you can leave them on the field and keep them away from the play, or you can leave them on the field and say you're catching the next one.
Let them get it back.
Let us know what you think if you're watching. Do you have the player catch the pull again? Do you take them away from the play? Do you take them off? Let us know what you think. You can always find Katie and I on Twitter at FullFieldHammer.
K Reynolds 90. Johansson with the disc.
Goldberg, who's had a strong second half in the lanes there, but miscommunication with Jecker is going to result in another short field for Oregon.
And Jecker's on Kaler here. Not the matchup you'd want when it's potentially game point for Oregon.
Hey, if I'm Jecker, I'm working to get it back. I like the opportunity. Here's Kaler. Just a few yards outside the end zone. High release forehand to Schaffner. And that's going to conclude this game. Oregon with a nice late game run here to close it out.
Considering the relative battle that was happening in the first half, it feels like this game really came down to the end very quickly there.
Oregon able to take control in the late game and capitalize on a couple of Washington turnovers, and they are going to win this game 15-10. Thank you for watching Ultiworld's coverage of the 2016 Northwest Challenge. We will hopefully see you tomorrow. Signing off, I'm Keith Rayner, joined by Katie Reynolds. Spin Ultimate. Custom team uniforms and branded apparel since 2007. Fresh designs to make your ultimate spirit shine.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go take down the field.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis,
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
documentary shorts,
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
and a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.